All right, let's keep moving. Let's keep shaking. Let's make some more predictions. Let's make some more picks. Let's talk about some teams who want to break through. There's some teams here who can maybe get some results this weekend and find themselves either in the upper half of the table or further in the bottom half of the table. Let's take a look at North Carolina Courage versus Angel City FC. Lisa, I'm just gonna say it. I think North Carolina Courage is brewing up something special here as they're gearing towards this second half of the season. I'm gonna go with North Carolina just right out the gate.
I like that. Why do you think North Carolina is going to get this win over Angel City?
I like what we've been seeing from Sean Nahas and this team and what he's been trying to put together. I really, really, really week to week now, I'm just impressed with the level of play of Emily Fox. I think when they made this move for this player, there was a little curiosity around it, like what does this mean? How are they going to utilize her? What's the vision here after seeing the departures of Carson Pickett and Abby Ursay? This is a player who can cover a lot of ground, but she's doing it, I think, in at the fullback position and providing a lot, whether she is covering all that ground on the flank or she's coming in centrally. And I'm also really, really high right now on Tyler Lucy, another one of these off-season pickups by the Courage that I think are a little bit underrated. I think North Carolina went out and made some moves in the offseason that might not have been high on a lot of people's radars or rankings or off-season grades and all that, but they're starting to pay dividends in the regular season. And again, these performances by Emily Fox and now Tyler Lucy, who's scoring goals. So I'm just sort of at this point in the season when we're looking at these games from the Courage, a player like Caroline, who's in her sophomore season in NWSL, looking more comfortable and trying to have that extra person to play with, that extra outlet, right? We're starting to see it come together. I think it's going to continue in this game. I think Courage are going to take the win.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, Tyler Lucy getting back-to-back game-winning goals for North Carolina, helping them go on this 3-game unbeaten streak, a win, a draw, and a win. And Angel City, they're on the road, which is only Angel City's 3rd road game this year. They have had the privilege and the luxury of playing a lot of games at BMO Stadium in Los Angeles. But June Endo is a factor. You can't get rid of an X factor like June Endo for Angel City. She has just done tremendous, adjusting to the league last year and then coming in this year and just taking that adjustments and running with it. She's been such a force for Angel City. It's incredibly hard to defend against her because she has the freedom and the flexibility to float around the pitch. She pulls in centrally a lot of times, but she also occupies the flank. June Endo has created 16 chances on the season for Angel City. That is just number 2 in the NWSL. She's just behind Adriana. She's coming off 3 chances created against that Washington game in which Angel City lost. And it came down to a bit of Washington's stellar defense that kept Angel City off the board. Now, they're going on the road, and although they've only played 2 road games this season, they've had positive results in those. A 2-1 win over Orlando at Exploria Stadium, and then they traveled to Portland, Oregon, and that was that crazy 3-3 draw against the Thorns that Angel City was able to squeak out. So there's something about being on the road for Angel City that kind of gives them a little bit of mojo, a little bit of juice, because they're so used to playing with the crowd behind them at home. When they go on the road, they know they have to bring something a little different. Now, you talked a lot about Tyler Lucy, a player that was acquired by North Carolina in the offseason. She spent her last year with Angel City. She's going up against her former team. She's coming off a couple goal games. I think she wants another one. I'm also going to go with North Carolina, the home team in this one, getting the win over Angel City. They're going to keep the boat rolling, but a low scoring game. I'm not expecting a lot from North Carolina, but the factors that they have with Guile, Lucy, Caroline, Denise O'Sullivan, it's starting to come together. Diane Madison in the midfield as well. I like it. It's been a slow burn for North Carolina, and I think they're going to keep it going.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. There's something about West Coast teams when they got to make that long flight to North Carolina they don't always look so hot. And I'm also just like taking all that stuff into consideration and curious as to how this game is going to come out. I think it could provide, it might be one of those under the radar games, or maybe people view it as like a must-see TV with some of the other matches that are taking place this weekend. But I think this is one of those matches that are going to have some good stuff in between the lines, and people should check it out if they can and if they're able. Let's make another pick. Let's move things centrally here. Kansas City Current versus Racing Louisville FC. Convenient for us because we get to recap in between the two of them in Challenge Cup. And now we're going to talk about what we think might happen in this regular season matchup in week 8. I mean, we talked a little bit about that too. Like, what were we going to see in that Challenge Cup game? What kind of rotation? Blah, blah, blah. They've got a quick turnaround. How are the head coaches going to utilize that midweek game? Well, we saw a 5-goal scoreline between these two teams for Challenge Cup. Cue the chaos. And Racing Louisville picking up their first 3 points in the Challenge Cup tournament. It was their first game. Finally, they kicked off their group stage. So now all 12 clubs have officially played at least one match in Challenge Cup. Savannah DeMelo picking up her first career brace, comes by the way of Challenge Cup. Again, cue the chaos. But Current got let back into this game a little bit. So I'm very curious about what's going to happen this weekend. And Saturday, 8 p.m., you can tune in and catch all the action. Lisa, do you have a winner and a loser in this one?
Yeah, we're actually very lucky that we get to see this game midweek and then we get to see it again on the weekend. And there is travel, right? How serendipitous would that have been if it was both games at Louisville or in Kansas City? But no, they have to travel. So midweek in Louisville and then the weekend game in Kansas City. But Savannah DeMelo is just so fun to watch. She is so talented. Her off-ball defensive work is really what helps this team stay together and be the glue, but she's in the right spot at the right time. She's able to get good looks on goals. She feeds the ball through to her teammates incredibly well. One of DeMelo's shots is like top of the 18, outside of the right foot. She curls it in. It is truly impressive. Go watch these highlights between Racing Louisville and Kansas City Challenge Cup match. Really fun to watch. Michelle Cooper, we saw for Kansas City, the number 2 draft pick, get her first goal, an assist from her rookie classmate, Alexis Spanstra, on that goal. And then deja climbs back into this game for Kansas City, getting the second at the end of this game, which would not lift them as Racing Louisville picks up these points. But we're seeing a formation shift from Kansas City. We saw it last week in week 7 where they went to a 4-back. And so their shape looks a bit more like a 4-2-3-1. They did it again against Racing Louisville, and it was better. There were moments of it that were better. They also had a lot of rotation, right? Labonte didn't start. deja didn't start. Kristen Hamilton, we're still waiting to see what this player can do for this team. She's been on the bench now for 3 games, one of those being a Challenge Cup game. Is she going to get minutes? I think so. I have no knowledge of this. I just think that it's finally time that we're going to see Kristen Hamilton on the pitch. And if she plays, she will be part of a goal-scoring play for Kansas City. I'm not sure she'll get a goal, but she'll be part of the play, creating those chances. Now, Louisville, though, they're coming off their first win of the regular season against Chicago. Then they're coming off of this midweek Challenge Cup game. They're on a bit of a roll themselves, but I think Kansas City is going to get one back this week. They're a team in Kansas City that's going to get this win over Louisville, because last week Kansas City lost 2-0 to San Diego, yet they had 20 shots, 15 of them in the second half. And we got a little bit of rest from some players on Kansas City in the midweek. I think they're going to be ready to go. I'm looking at deja, Lola Bonta, Cece Kaiser, Haley Mace. They all came off the bench in midweek. They're going to have fresh legs, ready to go. They're going to see a similar lineup from Kim Bjorkegren, because it was the top lineup, essentially, that we saw in the midweek. And now I'm going to give the upper hand to Casey.
I don't know if it's like, ideal. What would be considered Bjorkegren's ideal starting 11? Because I'm really not too sure what that is quite yet at this point. But we do know for Kansas City that Quablon opted to do a lot of rotation, and there's going to be a little bit less minutes on the legs for Kansas City. I'm with you on everything that you said on Kristen Hamilton. I think this is a player in her arrival to Kansas City mid 2021 has just been incredibly impactful, like since she got there with the Current. Someone who was scoring goals for them, generating plays for them. And then with the arrival of Cece Kaiser, I think we started to see some really special things start brewing between just those two players. So I'm eager to see her return and what it could look like again with Kaiser, but now with the return of Debinha, and that's someone who she is familiar with, playing so many years with in North Carolina. So it almost sort of feels like with all of these pieces kind of making their way back for the Current, that Hamilton might actually be that key to turn that lock finally. So I'm eager to see it. I just don't know if we will. And because even if we see it, it might not be like a full 90-minute start. It might be a slow, gradual process.
I mean, the first time we see Hamilton won't be full 90 minutes.
Yeah, of course not. So
it won't.
I feel you. I love like staying with a pick and staying with a winner and making sure that there's a loser. But this is tough for me with the midweek match and going around on the 5 goals that we had for Challenge Cup. I've got this one as my draw this week. I hope that it's another wild one. I hope we get more goals between these two teams as they go head to head in week 8.